On the rugged coast of Maine, a lonely sentinel stands against the sea. An old lighthouse, abandoned for decades, holds a dark secret. The locals whisper of Thomas Whitmore, its last keeper, who vanished into the storm one fateful night. Since then, no one has dared to set foot inside, fearing what took him might still be waiting. But legends like this are exactly what draws in people like Alex. A young urban explorer with a thirst for the unknown, Alex decided the time had come to uncover the truth. One evening, as the sun bled into the horizon, he approached the crumbling structure. With just a flashlight and a backpack, he pushed open the heavy, salt-crusted door and stepped into the darkness. The air inside was thick and heavy, smelling of dust and the sea. The only sounds were the howling wind outside and the violent crash of waves against the rocks below. It felt like the lighthouse itself was groaning under the pressure of the storm. Alex began his ascent up the narrow, winding spiral staircase, his flashlight beam cutting through the oppressive gloom. The first floor was a time capsule. The walls were covered with old, faded photographs of Thomas Whitmore, man with kind eyes that seemed to grow more troubled in each successive picture. Scattered around were his personal journals, their leather covers warped by time and damp. Curiosity got the better of Alex. He picked up the first journal and began to read. Thomas's early entries were mundane, filled with notes about weather patterns and shipping logs. But as Alex flipped through the pages, the tone began to shift. Thomas wrote about the fog not as weather, but as a living entity. He claimed he was communicating with something that lived within it. The entries grew more and more frantic. He wrote of whispers carried on the wind, of fleeting shadows dancing at the edge of his vision, of voices calling his name from the swirling mist. An unnatural chill ran down Alex's spine, a cold that had nothing to do with the night air. Suddenly, a cold breeze swept through the chamber, extinguishing a candle Alex hadn't even noticed was lit. He looked up. High above, at the very top of the lighthouse, the main lantern flickered to life for a split second, casting a ghostly glow down the stairwell. But that was impossible. The lighthouse had been without power for 50 years. Then he heard it, a soft, sibilant whisper that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "You shouldn't be here." The voice was faint, but it was as clear as if someone had spoken right into his ear. Alex's heart hammered against his ribs. He fumbled with his flashlight, and just as the whisper faded, the light died, plunging him into absolute blackness. Panic set in. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, echoing from every dark corner of the tower. He could hear his own name being called, just as Thomas had described in his journal. It was the fog. It was inside with him. Driven by pure terror, Alex scrambled blindly up the remaining stairs. His only thought to escape, to reach the top, to find the light. He burst into the lantern room, gasping for air, and froze. There, bathed in a faint ethereal glow, stood the ghostly figure of Thomas Whitmore. He was still at his post, tending to a light that wasn't there, his eyes hollow pits of despair. The apparition turned its head slowly, its empty gaze locking onto Alex. It raised a translucent hand and pointed a trembling finger toward the final, open journal on the desk. Then, as silently as it appeared, the figure of the keeper dissolved, fading back into the thick fog that pressed against the glass. The next morning, local fishermen found Alex huddled at the base of the lighthouse, shivering and incoherent. He kept mumbling about whispers in the fog and a ghostly keeper trapped by his duty. They say a part of Alex never really left that lighthouse, and to this day no one dares to go near it when the fog rolls in. The story serves as a chilling reminder: some secrets, especially those hidden within the mist, are better left undisturbed. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy Tales of the Unknown, make sure to subscribe for more. Stay safe out there.